G&G 26. Back up in the mix. Juan Grits.
Hitting all the chicks.
Hey. I had a hook.
Feel the bass.
I had a hook for her. How'd it go?
Feel the bass.
Please
feel the bass.
Feeling good, feeling great for the summer, boy. All love, no hate, we got your number, boy. You ain't heard Grits and Glory, that's a bummer, boy. This beat nice, that's word to the drummer, boy. Giving good, feeling great for the summer, boy. You ain't heard Grits and Glory, that's a bummer, boy. The nice beat, word to the drummer, boy. Hey, that's how we coming, boy. Hey, coming in, coming funny. It's a game and we're talking about the money. Summertime, so you know it's feeling sunny. Word to Mob Deeps, them my dunnies. That's how I do, and I'm all about the paper. And I come through dropping knowledge for the haters. We don't have to pull no tricks or no capers. We just hard to bite like some capers. Think about it, then run it back. To keep coming through the hole like a running back. And I don't have to stunt our front, in fact.
For sure.
I just come with them motherfucking facts. I don't really have to say them curse words, but at the same time, I will disperse your situation and kill the whole nation with a little education and integration. No segregation, you can kind of taste it. It's so smooth, it's not follow flagrant. It's just something you just have to situate with. As far as I'm concerned, these other podcasts tasteless. Grits and Glory episode 26, EASB, and we in the mix. And we coming back, and we got facts, put you on the map. And welcome back, producer Matt. Coming back for the summer, boy.
So nasty.
Ain't heard Grits and Glory, a bummer, boy. Don't hate us, love, got your number, boy. This a nice beat, word to the drummer, boy. Feeling good, feeling great for the summer, boy. All love, no hate, we got your number, boy. You ain't heard Grits and Glory, that's a bummer, boy. That's a nice beat, word to the drummer, boy. Boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. I'm a grown man now, but when I was a young boy, my father sat me down, he said, son, I'm gonna tell you like my father told me. As long as you got some grits, you'll never go hungry.
Not at all.
This is the Grits and Glory podcast, episode 26, Prepare to be Fed. And you know, I'm still tasting the flavors and the sustenance from the last episode we had, where we really got in depth and deep with the politics. So we're going to keep that rolling on this one. But before I do that, of course, I must introduce my gracious guest host. So first in the building, looking right across from me, we have Mr. SB.
SBZ.
AK Poppy the Troll King.
The King.
SBZ. Coming with all the facts.
King Poppy.
You know what I mean? Hold your breath, no wheezy. Please believe me.
Back in the house.
He's
back once again.
It's so
back
good
at
to
it
have you
again.
back, sir. Appreciate you.
Good
And
to
then
be
of
here,
course,
bro.
we have the incomparable, the wisdom, the wise oak, the Ghanaian
Super Saiyan.
Super
He
Saiyan.
about to level up.
EA.
Shine on.
EA is in the building.
What's
How you
going
feeling,
on,
sir?
folks, man? I'm chilling out, man. Chilling out.
Cool.
And for those that don't know, we keep this Grits and Glory thing rolling no matter what. You know, we want to give a big shout out and show a lot of love to our producer. Producer Matt had some trials and tribulations that he had to go through. We had to record at another studio. People were asking me like, who's Chris? You know what I mean? Chris helped us out, and I had to shout Chris out. But Chris is not producer Matt. There's only one producer Matt. You know what I mean? So big shout out, you know, our token white boy, producer Matt.
Wow.
That's him giving a round of applause, man. Giving that Caucasian perspective. At any time, he's gonna hit us with the facts as well.
God.
So, #1 Black Culture Podcast. If you didn't know, Grits and Glory here. So
You do now.
if you didn't listen to episode 25, we were talking about politics and the politic game. And the conclusion that I came to, that SB, you know, probably vehemently denied. How do you say that?
Vehemently.
Was against, was that the two-party system does not work for black people.
No, I didn't. See, that's a mischaracterization already.
I apologize, sir.
Jesus, man. You're going to give us a summary. Just do it right, you know. I said that, look, we have two major parties, right?
Yes.
And your original question to me
Yes.
was, what was in specifically black folks' responsibility
Okay.
in this upcoming election.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
Does
That's
that
correct.
sound?
That was my question. That was my question.
Got you. And I gave a few top line answers because I mentioned like that's a big question.
Right.
You're like, yep. And, you like the broad question. So
Yes.
there's a number of things. And so I didn't say that the two-party system works for black folks in particular or Americans in general. It's just what we have right now. And I think I made some points as to, number one, the best thing you could do in preparation for 2020 is register yourself to vote and actually do it. Now,
that is the definition of being politically active.
Well,
Would you agree?
That's active. That's activism. That's one level of activism.
First level, foundation.
As a citizen. As a citizen.
I like that.
Okay? This is your American right.
Responsibility.
Yeah.
Right. It's
your right.
You have a freedom not to have the responsibility, but it's your right.
You have a right to not
and
do
why
it
wouldn't
also,
you take that
but
right?
I encourage you to do it.
Yeah, especially when there was a time when African Americans and women didn't have that right. So people fought for that right.
People died for that right.
People died for that right.
Okay.
So you should respect that right.
So that's a voice.
Absolutely.
We're on this podcast because we are projecting the way we think in our individual voices, but collectively we participate.
Great.
It's about participation.
It's about participation.
So
Okay,
that was my
continue
number
where
one
you're at.
aspect.
Okay, now let me throw you
Number
off.
two is getting educated about the issues.
Okay.
There's so many forms of education out there where information is present.
Mm-hmm.
Social media, the Grits and Glory podcast show, I mean, see what I'm doing there?
I like that plug. I like that.
You see like what that
Real
does?
smooth.
Real talk. So no troll, Ed. No. Hey, like I said, there's no excuse. It's irresponsible.
Okay.
If you know more about Lil Uzi than you know about who's running for president.
I agree. So my summary and my point, which was a side point, if you will.
Yeah. Now you
was
clarify.
that as African Americans, black folks, it seems that the two parties do not cater to our needs and to our issues specifically.
Right. And I didn't disagree.
And there was a question that EA posed, and while we were kind of caught up in our debate, it was a really solid question, and that question was, okay, you're black, and now both parties aren't catering to what your issues and your desires and the things that you want to hear. How do you impact and make those issues prominent? How do you get the things done that you need to get done if the two major parties in the system are not paying attention to that, right?
Absolutely.
So that's going to be the focal point. I'm just giving a little foreshadow. That's going to be the focal point of this podcast. That's going to be
this episode.
Our get your mind right focus and getting a little bit of get your tribe right focus for this episode. But as always, we hit you with our several segments, which are get some insight. So that's what's on your mind. Get your grind right. What's in your pockets? How you get that paper? Get your tribe right. What are you doing for your community? And then get your mind right. And then getting your mind right just encompasses everything: your mental, your soul.
If your mind ain't right, nothing matters.
There it is.
That's the number one thing.
That's what we're going to touch on. Just to let you know, that's what we're touching on in today's pod. But before we get into that, we have to get some insight. So, EA.
Bless you.
Producer Matt.
Matt, bless you.
EA, give us some insight as to what's been going on in your world right now. Where you at right now?
My world. I mean, it's, I guess looking at life and how we all can live it to the fullest. Kind of going into the whole political thing and really kind of. I think last episode you were kind of talking about like finances and how we need to just get our financial stuff together. And so I'm kind of focused on that, trying to get my finances together, trying to get my head right, trying to stay in shape and, trying to figure out how to take myself to that next level in life, and that takes a little bit of effort. It just doesn't happen. So,
okay.
Yeah, when you say get in shape, was that like working out or health?
Working out, yeah, working out, trying to stay, dietary, trying to
stay sharp.
Trying to stay. It may not. I might not be on point on that on the diet side, but definitely trying to get a little exercise in, a little jogging in.
Doing the best.
Get my steps in. Yeah, trying to. The goal is to be the best human being I could possibly be.
That's you.
Now it's easy to say. It is, but it does require some effort to do. You know what I mean? Along with that, this is kind of off topic, but it's in the insight because I feel like nobody is talking about this or saying anything about this. Did anybody hear about the slave ship that they found in Mobile, Alabama? Underneath there's a river in Mobile called the Clotilda, which was the last slave ship to come to the United States, and it actually happened after the international slave trade was ended. Did anybody hear about that?
I did not.
No, I did not.
That's interesting.
Unbelievable.
It's in the river.
Me.
It was just at the bottom of the river.
It's at the bottom, and they
How did they find it? How did they find it?
Well, I think a year or so ago, they started finding traces of wood underneath the river.
Okay, so where is that coming from, basically?
Right.
Yeah.
And so the first ship that they found was actually not the Clotilda, but then they one of the researchers, I'm not sure if he was working with National Geographic or if it was a local person that was doing some independent research. I can't remember that part of the story. All I know is that they figured that, you know what, this thing might be close because there was a lot of, like, I don't know, driftwood, whatever, popping up. And lo and behold, I think National Geographic had like one of those underwater radar things.
Yeah, scanner.
Yeah, scanner. And the dimensions of an object that they found matched the dimensions that were of the slave ship, the Clotilda, which it was from in Alabama. It was actually the whole thing was based on a bet, and the bet was because the slave trade was abolished, or the international slave trade, because there still was slavery at the time
in America.
Yeah, in America, exactly. Could these rich people sail to Benin, get slaves, and bring them back without anybody knowing?
Yeah,
and
they did.
And just a real quick sidebar, because something that you said. You said that they used like some type of sonar to locate the ship, correct? So just for all of our hip hop heads and for our music heads, the actual origin of auto-tune, which is the same tool that T-Pain uses and most of these rappers use and most of these singers have been using for years without using it in an extreme way. Roger and Zapp use a vocoder.
Oh, okay. So it sounds similar.
So that's where you take a tube, you hold it in your mouth, and you mouth out the words and the notes, but you're actually playing the notes on the keyboard. What auto-tune does is it pitch corrects you. So if you're singing and you're off key, it brings your voice back into key.
It makes you able to sing.
Right. And so it was always used as a slight adjustment to singers if they were slightly off key. The engineer could adjust it so they would be on key.
T-Pain just said, "Give me that."
Yes, but T-Pain took it to an extreme and tweaked it so that I can sing extremely off key and it's going to create a whole new sound. The root of auto-tune was actually to be a deep sea sonar radar vibration system.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
So it's like,
never knew.
Yeah. So you send those vibrations down and you connect the tone and it bounces back and you pitch correct the tone to understand what is so many thousands of depths below the sea where you can't scuba dive to understand what is physically there.
That's awesome.
Interesting.
That's an interesting fact.
Just an interesting tidbit for you.
That's insight. Like
the more you know, Star, above all our heads.
That's some more 80s stuff, right?
But
knowing's half the battle.
But this, it's to me, we talk so much about the Titanic and all that. We have movies about that, and here we have this slave ship, underneath this bed of water. For the most part, I guess they say it's kind of intact, but then they don't plan on raising it up. What they're going to try and do is create some sort of memorial over the site. And the people, the descendants of some of those slaves, all reside in that particular area.
Yeah, I was going to ask about remains.
Yeah, and they named the place Africa Town.
Wow,
Africa Town, right on Mobile.
Now, why is it named Africa Town? Do they keep some of the African traditions, or
because black folk was?
Well, because of those folks that were, what happened was, in the midst of time, and most of these slaves were still alive. Then slavery was abolished in the United States completely, and so they were free.
So EA, I really
Yes.
like this.
Okay.
Why did this? A question for you is,
Okay.
why did this strike a chord with you? Why did this pique your interest? Because I would venture to say, and I'm gonna lead into a side debate that's going on right now. I would venture to say that your average African American doesn't want to hear about a slave ship, or doesn't even want to
But he's
research.
double African.
He is double
He's
African. So he's got a different
African-American.
perspective, but doesn't even want to go back into
It's painful.
what we consider painful. So
Right.
I hear you
Right.
refer to this slave ship as almost something that's like exciting and enlightening, but I would think your average black person is listening going, oh man, don't remind me about slavery again.
Yeah, what do you think?
I don't. Yeah. What is it that struck a chord with you, EA?
I think, we at this point, we all know that slavery happened. We know
It
it
happened.
existed. We know it's there, but we don't have. There's like, even in the midst of slavery, there were no records. I mean, that's why people don't know where they come from, and so they don't know what their original names were or none of that, because there are no records. Everything, it was just, we were brought here, and then, And then let me correct myself. If some people, for some there were, but for most there aren't.
Correct.
So they don't know where they come from, and the whole, just the fact that this whole thing happened over a bet, and even the person who was in charge of it burned the ship. How the ship sank was they burned the ship on purpose so nobody would know it existed, and to know that it actually existed, it gives those people that still reside in this place called Africatown, like here, you see, this is how we really came over here. You can look in a social studies book, or you can watch a National Geographic television show.
They have those records,
and now they actually have a physical ship underneath the water
That proves it.
that shows this is real. And even the people who live there, they're not like sad or anything. They're actually celebrating. It's almost like,
Thanks for
this
this
is our connection.
Yeah.
This is the true connection. This is how we came over here. This vehicle that is under the water is how our ancestors, our great grandparents, got here. In fact, I think they said the last slave to come on the Clotilda, they found some information. It was like a report that was done in 1930. So this person was really young. I forget the person's name. I was reading it today while I was at work. I know I shouldn't be doing all that work, but
Don't self snitch.
You were doing your Grits and Glory work. You good?
I know, but so it's just the fact, like I said, we look at all these different ships in American history that have sunk, and they're all commemorized.
The Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria.
It just even modern ship. Like I said, the Titanic. We talk about the Titanic. But this was us. Like, this was our people. This is something that's there that we have. And yes, it's a painful, you can say it's a painful story. You can think about how those folks got here, but then you also look at the descendants. They made it. They persevered. They got through. Okay. And those people are strong. So
I think for me, I'm going to say, I think it's difficult to grasp that all the way without, seeing how those descendants are reacting and their viewpoint on it. Mm-hmm. So I would definitely encourage our listeners, go ahead and Google the Clotilda.
Google that.
Clotilda.
Or you could just Google slave ship in Mississippi.
Yeah,
Alabama.
Okay.
Yeah. Alabama.
Last slave ship.
Last ship
found
in
Alabama.
Found in Alabama. But this brings another debate that I kind of want to transition into, and this is really relevant right now. Summertime. So right now there is a movie that is out on Netflix that is getting a lot of attention on social media right now. The movie is called When They See Us.
4-part series.
And it's a 4-part series.
Yeah,
My
4-part
apologies.
series.
I haven't watched it yet. Because for me, well, let me continue. So what it is the story of the Central Park Five. So in the 80s, there was a young white woman who was jogging through Central Park. She was assaulted. She was knocked out, knocked unconscious, beaten severely, and raped. Okay. She has no memory of her assailant or the person that raped her. It could be one person. It could be more than one person. Okay. Immediately after that, 5 young black men were arrested and charged with this crime with no actual physical evidence, no witness testimony or anything of that nature. At the time, Donald Trump, who was not the president, but was still a rich socialite and a media figure in New York, put out a full-page ad in the New York Times demanding that these young men be charged with the death sentence.
So this was in the 80s?
This is in the 80s.
Okay.
Okay.
Just to
1989.
Make this is 1989, the number. Another summer.
Sound of the funky drummer. All right.
For a moment.
So he and so what ended up happening is that these gentlemen were charged and convicted. I don't know the amount of time in total that they all did, but I mean the last person to be released was something 30 years down the line. DNA evidence proved that all 5 of these men were innocent, but not without them spending at least a minimum of a decade, some of them spending 20 to 30 years in prison for this crime.
And also note that the person who actually committed the crime actually came out and said that, hey, I committed the crime, but for some reason, the way that everything was set up, they couldn't even, it wasn't enough to even help them.
Right.
So
this documentary is out on Netflix right now. It's getting rave reviews. It's directed by Ava DuVernay. I don't know how to say her name. DuVernay, yes, who is an acclaimed black woman director. All of this, and it's getting rave reviews. But there is a debate. See, we always try to take you behind the curtain. We're the #1 black culture podcast here. So there is a debate within, and I hate the term the black community, but we have to use it. There's a debate within the black community. I guess we don't have to, like SB's face.
No, I mean, I'm saying, why would you hate to do anything? Just
there's a debate amongst black folks.
Yeah.
That is, I don't want to watch this.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to relive trauma. Why are there always constantly movies about my trauma and my history in America?
Uh-huh.
And then there are other black folks that say, man, this is an amazing piece of work. Mm-hmm. This is meaningful. Everyone needs to watch this. We need to watch this. So SB.
I think it's probably painful for, Americans in general. I mean, this is in 1989.
It's not that long ago.
This is come on, man. This is like right now. This is color TV. I'm gonna do it for you like that. This is color TV.
Cable TV.
This is cable TV. This is come on. This is and Trump, the current president, had a participatory role in taking this movie being written the way it was. He put money down on this.
On the movie?
No, like getting.
Yeah, on trying to get the men persecuted.
Persecution.
Prosecuted.
Influence.
Yes.
Well, persecution. Prosecution.
Would you agree that most trials, if they're high attention, that they are almost tried in the media before they are tried in the actual court?
Before anything
they're
else.
Tried in the court of public opinion.
I'm not an attorney, but this is how I feel. I think that yes to that, and also being a black man in American society in the court system, being a man and then a black man, it's kind of like a triple
negative.
Negative, yeah. You're just like you don't get equal parity often in under the law,
And even the title, "When They See Us," speaks volumes.
Mm-hmm.
There's a brother that does videos. Look him up on Instagram or Facebook. His name is Charity Croft. I believe he's a brother of yours. SB, and he has a video. It came out a couple years ago when a lot of these police shootings were publicized,
right?
And he equated black men to spiders.
Damn.
He said that when you see a spider, you go, "Oh my God, it's a spider! Kill it!"
Mm-hmm.
And he believes that that's the same mentality that a lot of these police officers have when they approach a black man and feel this level of threat and this level of fear and feel in fear of their life.
So they take away their humanity.
Their humanity.
Because it does something to the brain anyway. When you kill anything,
when you dehumanize something.
Yeah.
So I mean we
do that to mascots. Mascots get attacked and beat up a lot.
Yep.
I mean, that's a
you don't think of it as a real person inside that suit,
but you lose sight that that's somebody who's doing this for money. Right.
Yeah.
And it's a job.
Or just for school spirit.
It's a job.
Mm-hmm.
It could be that you get your education while putting your life on the line in a sporting event where people are drinking heavily, and they look around and they see a mascot they might want to
punch,
take a whack at. You know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I use that just to bring that some better context.
Or
but
even,
that's the theory.
Or even the
dehumanize.
history of slavery to try to say that black people were not human or inferior, 3/5 of a human, helps justify that their property helps justify beating or treating people less than human.
So at the top of the conversation, we were talking about getting into the just the socio-political state of whatever we talk about, how this ties into the 2020 election coming up, or the other local and state elections coming up. Consciousness, because this movie is produced and is a story about something that happened in '89 in relative recent history, and a particular people's disinterest in it because of the pain that's assumed that is caused by watching it.
Right. And so the argument or the perspective that I want to introduce, and the reason why I brought this up, is that, so what I see a lot of black people reacting and saying, I don't want to watch this. I don't want to relive that trauma. Even movies like 12 Years a Slave, or I don't want to, or why do they keep making movies like this? Right. Is it to remind us or reinforce to us that we're less or that we deserve to be treated this way? And the counter argument that I would like to offer, and again, this is Juan Grits' personal opinion, is that this movie stop looking at it from the perspective of someone black. This movie was not made for you to relive your trauma.
Absolutely.
Right. This movie was made for those
to reach the masses.
Yes, this movie was made for those who don't believe you've gone through this trauma.
Right.
Who it doesn't even cross their mind or cross their way of life to even think about the type of drama or what you have to deal with thinking as a black person. For them to see something real and tangible and understand, oh my God, this is how my country treats these people. Or, oh my God, this is how, so what I'm saying is,
I see what you're saying.
This movie was not made for black people.
Well,
this movie was made for white people. This
I
movie
think it
was made
for all people.
For Americans.
I think it's definitely.
It was made for Americans to see
yeah.
how we treat our minorities.
And I also think this movie was made to make money too. So, you know.
I mean, all movies are made to make money.
Let me just put that in there.
All movies are made to make money.
I mean, people are only so socio-politically
since we have, since we have producer Matt back and I saw him nodding. Can I get producer Matt to just step in on this? Just give us a little tidbit on this. How you feel about
that?
This?
Man is watching hockey, bro. He's the hockey sticks and the pucks are going everywhere.
He's watching the Stanley Cup Finals.
Watching the Boston Bruins.
I'm hoping what wider perspective could we ask for?
Man. I love
this right now.
I just wanted to get that context. This is great insight.
Put the puck down and pick up the mic.
You're gonna be like, I know black hockey players.
Well, there are. Some of the best ones right now are black.
PK
Subban, his brother Malcolm Subban's a fantastic goalie.
There's a Malcolm?
Anthony Duclair.
You know they got a file.
Wayne Simmons.
On him.
Dude, there's a whole bunch of beasts.
That's why you're here, Matt. Put it on. Put it
what you mean by beast? No, just playing.
I knew you guys.
Don't do that to me. Please don't do that to me. No, you're absolutely right. That it goes back to my brother-in-law had to tell my uncle one time that when one of his black coworkers was talking about a traumatic event for them, he kind of felt offended, like, well, I didn't do that to you, blah, blah, blah. And finally, my brother-in-law screamed in his face, Uncle so-and-so, it's not about you, right? You're not a racist. Mm-hmm. They're trying to tell you about an experience they had and trying to get you to grow and understand and maybe see something different. And that's exactly what that documentary series is for. Mm-hmm. Because right now, and actually I'm glad that you threw it to me, because last week was the 70th anniversary of Donald Trump's father being arrested at a KKK rally.
That's correct.
Just throwing that out there. We have a shitload of people that just don't. They're trying to protect like 1950s white America, and it hasn't existed. It hasn't existed since the Korean War. So they need to get over it, and that's who that documentary is for. But my concern with that series is if those people are inherently racist and won't admit it, what's going to make them turn it on? That's been the one thing as that debate's been raging is, how are you going to get the white people it's meant to influence to actually turn it
watch
on
it.
when they don't want to hear that message in the first place?
Right.
So that's my only take.
You might get the actual demographic of self-proclaimed practicing racists who like to watch it.
Oh, they might enjoy it.
Just a perspective.
Just throw something out
They're
there.
not going to turn off Fox News. Let's be realistic for a
No,
So
they'll have
throw
it,
something out there,
they'll
and
have
that's
it playing on a different TV.
So throw something out there, and that's a great question, a great point. When, like, you know, I have a lot of, you know, I have a lot of white friends, and I have a lot of liberal friends that say, you know, how can I be an ally? Or how can I, you know, and it's like, and usually their perspective is, how can I get involved with black folks and in the black community and become an ally? When your strongest, the most effective way that you could be an ally is to continue to challenge and influence your white friends who are closed-minded or think differently. So I'm not going to convince, you know, in the example like your uncle, it's not going to be me that, or your friend's uncle, I don't know exactly who it's not going to be me that convinces your uncle to watch this movie, but you might be able to convince your uncle to watch this movie.
You need influence,
right? So the key piece is, and maybe it's just by sneaking it up on them. You know, I would say this: there are like dramatic movies, like when I was a kid,
we're gonna watch the new Toy Story.
Right. When I was a kid, you know, we had one
That would
main
be wrong,
we
man.
had one main TV in the living room,
Good.
right? And we'll go to this is old school. We'll go to the video store, right? And we'll rent, you know.
You mean Blockbuster?
Yeah, like Blockbuster or Family Video or something.
West
And
Coast
those-
Video.
Right. And we'll rent Batman and we'll rent Fried Green Tomatoes. That's what my mom wanted to watch. I don't want to watch. Now,
My mama like that too.
me as a young boy, I don't want to watch Fried Green Tomatoes. I want to watch Batman.
Why? Because you didn't like the feminism that
Yeah,
was
I'm a
being
boy.
displayed?
I want to see somebody fight and stuff. I don't want to see, you know, what is Fried Green Tomatoes going to do for me, right? But since my mom, being the head of the house at the time, is like, I got the living room TV. We're going to watch Fried Green Tomatoes first, and then
She gave you your first ever.
and then
grits.
you can watch, and then we'll watch Batman, right? So now, you know, I don't want to sit in my room. I don't want to do nothing else. So I'm laying on the living room floor with an attitude, watching Fried Green Tomatoes.
Man.
And then 20 minutes in, I'm
You're
into
liking
it.
it.
I'm liking it. I'm into it.
Just
I'm
like fried green tomatoes.
I'm like, do
it
they?
sounds odd
I'm
until
like,
you try
yeah.
it.
I'm like, does she really love her? Are they going to have the baby or whatever? You know, I'm into
You
it.
was into that movie.
Yeah, I'm into it.
It was a good movie.
Right? But if my mother didn't force that on me, I wouldn't have opened up.
Why would you do it?
Right. So maybe it takes that time where you say, hey, you know what, I'm not even going to debate you.
Well, you got to pick the spots.
Let's watch this movie or listen to this song.
I think Thanksgiving and Christmas are two
You know,
times you don't want to do
I
that.
have control of the TV right now. We're going to watch this movie. And you get them all excited that, oh, we're going to watch Kick-Ass or something. And then you throw When They See Us on.
You just switch. But that would happen.
Right. Or you say we about to watch the Ted Bundy documentary, and then you throw on When They See Us.
Well, you know what? My family, no matter what you throw on, this is just, and they'll probably get mad when they hear this, but especially my mom's side, you can. It doesn't matter what you put on the TV; they're talking over it.
Yeah.
You're not
That's
hearing.
true.
You ain't hearing nothing. You're
That's
just
true.
seeing images. But guess what? As soon as you turn that TV off, people get mad, like they were watching it.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
crazy.
that's it. Here and here's the big. I don't mind somebody talking over it because then that gives you a chance to explain it. Because when they see something that piques their interest, they're like, "Hey, wait a minute. Well, how did he get
just
get
ran
there?
down the alley. What happened?
How did she learn to fly?" Then you like, "Oh,
why
well,
you
see,
got them sounded like that?
yeah." Then you're like, "Oh, well, you know, they got the force and they did this, that, and the third. And they're like, "Oh, well, what's the force then?" And then now you're on some other, you know, so on and so forth. So, you know,
Force it in an easy way, right?
Appreciate your inside map, but that's the key. The key is that, you know, it's going to take, you know, it's going to take allies. It's going to take someone that sees this and is changed or is impacted or affected to just say, hey, I know you feel this way or I know you think this way, but check this out. I saw this and it impacted me this way. Just give it 20 minutes. Give it a half hour. Give it some time and let me know what you think.
Can I offer another perspective too? Because
Sure.
I agree with everything you're saying. I just don't want to lose sight of the fact that it's my belief, in my opinion, that even the pain, even though it's hard, to watch, you know, and even though this movie is for everybody, the black folks who feel like it, you know, it pains them to watch, they need to watch it too. And it's because, you know, in conversation, you know, just how we're talking about maybe in Matt's family, Matt, this is not directly about you, this is just an example. In a white family, you know, a conscious person, or it doesn't even have to be in a white family, it could be in a non-black family, watching this movie has to bring it up to their, you know, if they bring it up to their family, you know, what's the incentive? You know, what urges them to do it? Either they're just overly conscious about it, they feel passionately. I think it would be also easier for, you know, them being an ally, their black friend or counterpart, to talk about it with them. Because we might run into the situation where the black people who don't want to watch the movie might have a ally friend who has watched the movie, you know, and, you know, conversation might not happen because it's hard to me, and some, even being black, talking about other cultural issues with members of other cultures, it helps if they want to talk about it first, because me bringing it up is kind of awkward if it's not a part of my culture, right? So conversations need to happen. My point is, conversations need to happen inside the family and outside in society too, and black people need to be a participatory part of it.
I agree, but I feel you have to be prepared, you know. So like for me, I'm interested in these type of things, so I've already read up and seen a bunch of interviews and kind of know
because you're naturally interested.
Yeah, I know the gist of the story. Right. So you know, I could watch the movie and it could reinforce some things that I already knew, but it's not going to change. You know, it's not going to change how I feel or have the major impact on me as it is on someone who wasn't aware of this at all.
Let me ask you this.
I think
go ahead.
I think one thing about the movie as well that I've kind of read on, I think the one of the main things I think that makes this film special, and I haven't watched it yet, but I'm going to try and see if I can find a way to watch it sometime this weekend or something, is that the 5 individuals who at the time when all this happened were young teenagers, 14, I think between ages of 14 and 17, if I'm correct. I could be wrong. They were teenagers.
Yes,
they were
14
to
17. Yep.
You know,
they're grown men now.
Right. Yeah. They're all like in their mid to late 40s. They were very influential in making this film happen as well. They were on set for the most part, talking with the actors and then actresses on the set in regards to making sure that the fine details of different things were in place, and to the point where they even had I think they had an on-set psychologist. Yeah, you know, because of how
it might trigger.
You know, but so I think this is the first time where you're actually getting the insider. I mean, they have documentaries, but to actually have a film where it's really kind of almost coming directly from them. There really hasn't been anything like this for this particular situation. So I think it's good to it's good to get it from their point of view,
from their perspective,
and hearing their inside stories that hasn't been told on a documentary. This is actually literally coming from them.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
even the guys themselves said from watching it, it was very painful because they had to relive something, but they also said it was also very therapeutic. And when you see them now, you can see them like it's actually really, I won't say surprising, but just
it gives them some kind of like resolve.
It's seeing
told.
where they're at now. Like if you watch some of the some of the things, the interviews that they've done like very recently in the past week or so, like then seeing their growth as men, and despite all the stuff that's happened, they've been able to like keep on pushing on, and they're working on dealing with stuff. It's
inspiring.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, I got a couple questions though.
Well, real brief. I don't want us to lose our main topic.
No, yeah.
Okay. So, are your questions
I think this
still
is related to the main topic.
Okay.
Do you think this movie is impactful and politically impactful? Number one. Like, do you think it will be impactful? Because it's nice that it's made and all of that, but does it have the overall impact that I think the producer wants it to have?
To be honest, no.
Okay. And then second question. Do you think that this movie and the timeliness of this 4-part series, especially due to Trump being president, has something to do with it being created and made and dropped in this time?
I agree, but that's my whole point. The problem is that if we were talking 10 years ago, 12 years, 8 to 10 years ago, before the Obama administration, we had, and social media was where it was at. We like stories and headlines and things stuck in the social conscious a lot longer. But now, because of the way the social media and the news cycle is, things keep our attention for about 2 to 3 weeks, and then they move on.
True.
So the issue is that I definitely see the timing of this in a way to try to smear, to be honest, is try to smear Trump or try to really call out his racist nature leading into the 2020 election. But by the time we get to the 2020 election, this will be long forgotten. So that's why I don't feel it has the political impact.
Well, you know,
I don't. I mean,
I know that.
I can see that.
I know that they said that the prosecutor in the case, who was pretty much trying, was very.
She was celebrated. She was considered.
Yeah. Well,
I heard
she's
a top-notch hero.
But I heard that she's getting like ran out. Like she just resigned from like 3 boards in the last couple of days, and they running her off of social media. Like there really a lot of people have been coming at her in the past few days since this thing has come out. That she's like,
hey, you know what?
And that's great. But how much damage has she done?
Right.
Since 1989.
Right. True.
True. Well, Ken, again, you say not impactful in a political sense,
but that is political. That is impactful.
Okay,
I agree.
So that's just 2 different, food for thought.
But then also to what Ron's saying too. I mean, there have been some other films. This is a 4-part series, but there've been other things like you're saying, like people like, why do I have to see this again? There was a movie that came out a couple of years ago called Detroit. About I don't know if anybody seen or heard about Detroit.
Yeah, I heard about it.
I heard about it.
I mean, we've had things like this before, but after a while,
I've seen some movies get dropped when there was no socially relevant reason for it. It's just kind of like we need to make a movie about some
so I guess
oppression, and then they get forgotten
Hollywood
quick.
averages, Hollywood averages 4 to 6 black movies a year, and it just depends on Hollywood budgets and timing, what that content is about. In the last couple of years, black movies have done better. So we're starting to see an increase of black movies. But even the idea, that's the other thing, even the idea of a black movie,
well, I think that
tells you kind of where we're at as a country, is that if it's mostly black actors or mostly black directors, and I guess that's the other perspective that I wanted to bring out is, in a way, we are divided even socially with how we see things and view things, because as we automatically assume that if it's a movie with a majority black cast or a black director, that black people should watch it.
Are you speaking we as black people, or we as
Americans?
Okay.
So like I think most white Americans, they see something like, I don't think black movies are marketed in the same space as mainstream movies.
Well, you don't think Men of Society was?
No. So because we put this we create these categories where we go, these are black movies, these are mainstream movies, which means white or for the majority, and it's just like radio. This is black radio and this is white radio.
We're still kind of like segmenting.
Yes. So everyone black feels a responsibility that if it's a majority black cast or a black director, we need to watch it. And I feel like everyone white or mainstream, they go like, well, if they almost treat it like a niche. Well, like if I'm in the kung fu movies, then I watch kung fu movies. If I'm in the black movies, then I watch black movies. But that movie wasn't made for me.
Oh, okay.
When this is really an American story.
So how do you differentiate between like movies that some like the movie we were just the 4-part series we were talking about, made for theoretically everyone, and then movies we know are geared to a particular community, like the black community?
I think it's subconscious. I think if you see a majority black cast,
then it's
like you
so
automatically
bring up a movie like a Tyler Perry movie.
Yes.
That's a black culture.
It's a black movie.
Or Black Panther. Was Black Panther considered a black movie?
So the reason why Black Panther was such a success is because it was
Disney.
It was a black movie with white movie marketing and under a white movie umbrella.
You mean what, like Marvel?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it wasn't truly black, is what you're saying?
It was truly black in its essence, but in its marketing,
the story was about a character in false or a country in Africa that doesn't necessarily really exist.
Yeah.
It was a comic book character.
Yeah.
From Marvel. So it wasn't from Spike Lee.
No.
Is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Now, if Spike Lee wrote Black Panther,
that's a movie,
it would be black.
But here's why it was at its core a black movie, because it was
the turnout, because
because it was a black director, it was a black writer, it was a black cast, all of the produce, everyone involved in the making of the movie, everyone that got paid,
soundtrack.
Everyone that got paid from the movie.
So what would you call
black.
that? What would you label it? You just say it's a normal movie with a high amount of black employment?
No, what I call it is a black movie with mainstream marketing, which has never been done.
What about
a black movie
like The Color Purple?
A black movie that was sold to the masses.
But I mean, like
The Color Purple is not a black movie at its core because its director is white.
What about Beloved?
There are white people involved in it.
Hey, look, I went to Beloved on a date one time.
Oh my God, that sounds like a horrible date.
Hey man, I was young, man. Hey, look, man. Hey, I was trying to score, bro. Like,
we're just gonna call this topic the movies because we're not gonna make it to
no,
my
no.
other topic.
But this, we can make it to the topic. I'm just saying.
No.
I turned around. I was one of four black people on this one in the movie theater. I turned around and there was nothing but white people in there, and the topic was so. This is on par. I was so kind of uncomfortable because, let's just face it, like whatever we consider black, whether we talk about movies or 4-part series, which, Hollywood has kind of taken a diminished role because Hulu, Netflix, all these series, they can bring these particular black or whatever you consider the movie is to directly the house. You know, you don't need to leave to see like a 4-part Netflix series or whatever.
But who do you think is producing these things?
Well, I mean, the producer's the same. I'm just saying, like, the method is different.
So the studio, it's just the Hollywood is figuring a different way to sell you the product.
Well, and the thing is, I don't necessarily even see the advertising. Now, for the Marvel comics or for Black Panther, you'll have a Burger King commercial, then you'll have a Black Panther commercial, then you'll have a Target commercial featuring Black Panther masks, and then you'll have a beer commercial with the Black Panther drinking a beer. It's all marketed that way. But these like series, this 4-part series, is not a Hollywood movie, as it is. You can find it on what, like Netflix?
It's Netflix.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a different way they're bringing you a message. Okay, and this is on par because we're talking political, the political system, conscious versus unconscious, and where dollars are going and how it's impactful. My point is this: whatever we're talking about, how do you label it? Because we're using these labels, black and white. What qualifies it? You're saying a producer who is black or an all-black cast, that would be a black movie just pushed by mainstream white Hollywood?
Yes.
So it would be a white movie, right? I mean, I'm trying to follow your logic, so I'm just like, would it be, or your rational thought?
Yes.
So would it be a white movie to you? Because I'm trying to walk away with,
yes.
Okay. But if the underground independent movies like The Spook Who Sat by the Door or something like that, or any blaxploitation movie which were white producers,
or the original, how about the original She's Gotta Have It?
Okay.
Well,
Spike
in your
Lee?
example, and
Spike Lee?
stay with your example. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I think unless you own the system or unless you're totally independent, in my mind, I would say even mainstream rap is not necessarily like, I would have to look at rap or anything that's marketed to me and message, who produced it, who's actually bringing it to me. If it's majority black, fine, but we don't own it. We don't own it. So is it black or is it just kind of like produced white? Is it Caucasian with a black label? I don't know. That's deep. You know what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying, but see, I see the difference.
Like, black people don't buy rap. White people do.
Right, but what I'm saying is the difference is how it is marketed. So again, the white or the mainstream is
how it's marketed.
The mainstream are the gatekeepers, right?
But
so if I'm the gatekeeper and I see this as a black movie, I'm going to market it to black people. I'm going to give it limited black people.
We're targeting
marketing.
This message.
Yeah, I'm targeting this group. I'm not I don't think white people are interested in this, so I'm not going to target it to them. Well, so the difference with Black Panther is it's the first movie that is solely made by black people and create. Well, I can't say solely made by, majority made by black people, that was marketed to white audience in the same vein as a white movie would be marketed.
I see what you're saying. I love this topic because I think that it can get into not only movies, but anything that we find to be culturally relevant in America right now that we so-called blacks receive, or whites or Americans.
I agree.
You know, I do believe in direct marketing. You know, I agree with you. There is direct marketing. Messages are sent to particular groups, but Marvel is everybody. This Netflix series, it seems to be everybody. But the way we talk about it,
I wouldn't say Netflix. This Netflix series is everybody.
Well,
I only know black people talking about this Netflix series.
I don't know any. But you believe it was made for everybody, right?
Well, it's supposed to be made for everybody.
That's what it's supposed to be.
I thought
made.
we covered that. Yeah, like
well,
so.
no, that's the perspective that I give to my black people that have an issue with it.
Okay,
is that okay? If you don't want to see it, don't see it. Get one of your white friends to see it.
But overall, it's not the series itself is not necessarily impactful in your mind. So it holds to you. Just answer like politically, in a socio-political aspect, looking at it, its impact is very low.
If it were marketed to white people, the way that what was the perfect example, the Sandra Bullock movie,
Blind Side.
No, the one that was on Netflix. The Bird's Eye.
Bird Box.
Yeah,
Bird Box.
Yeah.
Bird Box.
Did I just make that up? Was that real?
No, that's correct.
Okay, good.
Bird Box was marketed to everyone as like this is this phenomenon on Netflix that everyone has to watch.
It was a horror movie.
So
right?
Yes. Well, suspense, if you will.
I heard it was scary.
Yeah, suspense thriller. So everyone, black, white, whoever, had something to say.
Talking about that on Facebook. It was on
or some type of reaction to Bird Box.
Right.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
When they see us, just like the 13th Amendment, just like Luke Cage, they're on Netflix and they put up big numbers, but only black people are talking about it and concerned about it because it's not marketed as a mainstream.
I don't know.
But,
Go ahead.
And here's my
I hear
question
what you're
for you,
saying.
because I hear what you're saying, and I'm thinking about like, so how would you market this 4-part series to white people, considering the topic and the subject matter? How would you market it? How would it be marketed, or how should they market it so that white people will want to watch it?
Cast full of allies.
Yeah,
Marketing team full of allies.
So one is whoever the white lawyer or white judge,
More commercials,
or
influencer,
the white savior that is in the movie.
Oh man,
he gets top
those commercials.
He gets top billing on all the marketing, and
it's like Time to Kill.
It's marketed as an American story, not as a black story.
I've seen that happen before. I don't know if that's impactful.
So the only closest example that I could think of right now is there's two that come to mind. OJ Made in America, the 30 for 30 series on ESPN
Sports,
and The People versus OJ, that was the dramatic series on FX.
What?
Okay.
And what about A Time to Kill? Would you consider that? I mean, that was.
But to me, A Time to Kill is a white story.
Okay.
A Time to Kill is just A Time to Kill is just an updated version of To Kill a Mockingbird.
But look,
when you wait, let me finish.
Yeah.
When you read To Kill a Mockingbird, you don't focus on the strength and the bravery of the black man that's being sentenced to death.
Right.
You focus on the fact that Atticus Finch, the lawyer, is a hero.
True.
And sees this humanity in him.
Right.
And
I thought Boo Radley was.
And in the time, Boo
Radley was the hero.
And
bro.
in A Time to Kill, you don't focus on the strength and the vengeance and the anger of Samuel L. Jackson and how he would want to revenge or protect his family. You focus on that Matthew McConaughey sees the humanity in him. These are stories of black people that are written by white people. Uncle Tom's Cabin, okay, is written by a white woman. Okay, so these are, you know.
So it takes the production and
it's a
the whole manifestation has to be.
It's a mainstream white story to make white people feel good.
What about Gone with the Wind?
About the handful of us that care about black people. You know, Driving Miss Daisy. So I can go on for days. Okay, so
So white produced black story is what you're saying, or white story
Yes.
about black people.
Yes.
I'm confused though.
Yes.
I'm like,
It's a story about black people told from the perspective of
a white
people,
person.
of
Okay,
a white person.
from a white voice is
From
what
a
I'm
white
saying.
voice.
So
yes.
if it, so
and
but,
a white lens, and that's the same. The
But
same
Black
with
Pan-
Color Purple. The Color Purple is seen as an achievement of
Okay.
Steven Spielberg.
okay,
It's an achievement of Steven Spielberg. It's not seen, and it's an achievement, and it's a great acting and great story and great music, but it's seen as a great movie that was directed by Steven Spielberg. If Color Purple was
But it had
directed,
a lot of impact.
if it was directed by Spike Lee, it would not have the same mainstream recognition and impact.
we can get
just
it.
like any of these Lee Daniels movies, because Lee Daniels is British and he's not an American black man. It's viewed differently.
I'm just I hear you. I'm just trying to see what would be a valid movie. Like, how do you differentiate?
So let me go.
How
so
would
let me
one
go back.
differentiate?
But let me go back to the OJ. Let me go back to the OJ piece.
Got you.
Okay, so going back to the OJ piece, the OJ documentary is undoubtedly a black story. Okay,
That is so deep.
It's undoubtedly a story about the climate of racism in LA in the early 90s, and a black man who through sports and being an athlete rose up into a level where he didn't have to feel or deal with the pressures of being black.
Didn't
And
Dave
that's-
Chappelle give O.J. Simpson like to white people on the like race Olympics on his show or something?
No, I don't think. No, he didn't touch OJ on that one. That was Tiger Woods.
Oh man!
But on his, but so that's, but that's the story. But
man.
people don't see, because OJ was such a just.
He was OJ.
It's a cultural. It's American history story. People don't. It's not viewed as a black story. It's viewed as a sports story and just an American court system story. And again, the People versus OJ, the dramatic show, much more. It focused much more on Marsha Clark and her perspective.
Or as Jay-Z said, I'm not black, I'm OJ.
Right.
Okay.
It focused much more on Marsha Clark and her perspective.
But even after that, what are
than
you
that.
saying? What are you saying though? I mean, like we are talking about voice, and I think
The
politics
question-
is about
the question
is
that
about
I,
voice.
The question that I was answering is how do you market something that is a black story to a white mainstream audience? And I'm saying, look at O.J. Simpson Made in America, and look at the People versus O.J. and look at Color Purple, and that's how you market a black story to white audience. You have to tie someone white of prominence to it. And you have to spin it as an American story,
But is that
not
what
a black story.
Is that what the how are we measuring impact?
What?
Because I'm looking at the dollars, right? I'm looking at the fact that along with the common thread of thought, this is hard to watch. Black people saying this is hard to watch. I also know supporting black businesses, or Spike Lee himself can sit and say, I'm not getting a lot of support, by way of the dollars. People are not, my own people in some instances, quote unquote, are not supporting me.
Well, I think what Ron was saying is that just to get white people to watch it, it has it has to be marketed in a way where they feel connected. If you say it's a black, it's black this, it's like, well, that's their world.
Yeah, I'm still.
And I'll flip it another way. How do you market a romantic comedy to men?
I don't know. You get Vince Vaughn.
You focus on the comedy, and you focus on kind of the vulgarity and the things that stand out to men. So I'll give you a perfect example. The 40-Year-Old Virgin is an amazing romantic comedy. It is a romantic comedy.
Oh, yeah.
But men love that movie because of the vulgarity and because of the Steve Carell character and because of the jokes. So we go into it thinking we're just watching a comedy, but we're really watching a romantic comedy. And it hits on both ends because it was marketed and steered that way. So if I want to get white people's attention, I got to give them something that's familiar to them and that's comfortable to them to bring them into my black story. Just like if I want to get men's attention when I'm doing a notebook, a woman's romance love story, I got to come with something that sticks out to men that brings them in.
Yeah.
I got to have The Rock or somebody muscular, or I got to,
I get what you're
along
saying.
those lines.
I get what you're saying. I think ultimately what I was trying to point out is that the methodology, it's the same. The production of wherever you find it on Netflix, Hulu, or the big screen, particular cultures, traditionally underrepresented minorities in America are not producing or promoting or pushing the product, no matter if it's meant for everybody or if it's like marketed to their particular demographic. It's the same people in the same production companies in the same pot of money pushing it. So in my mind, there has been few to little like culturally impactful independent movies that I can consider really black, except maybe Paid in Full.
I agree, but how you push it, how it's pushed or how it's
It does
promoted or
matter.
marketed is almost more important than almost the content itself.
Well,
because it determines the audience that it reaches.
Well, I think the bottom line is how can it make money?
Okay, and to put a pin in that,
Yeah.
we push Grits and Glory to reach the masses and reach as many people as possible. You know what I mean? Even though we're the #1 Black culture podcast, man, we're right at time. This has been a real in-depth conversation. I think we were able to get some insight and get the tribe right a little bit with this one. And we'll go deeper into the political piece on our next episode. But again, we flow with what feels right and what's going. And we hope you enjoyed this and got some insight. We'd love to hear your feedback. Hit us up on Overcast. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're on Podbean. We're on Google Pods. We're on Facebook. Please comment, like, share. Please make sure you subscribe. Hit us with 5 stars. If you don't do at least 5 stars, you're a hater. And EA, go ahead and tell the people what they need to do.
Man, get out here and be the best human beings y'all can be.
All right, man. Peace to SB. Peace to EA.
Appreciate the flow, bro.
Peace to producer Matt.
For sure.
Hit you with one more beat, freestyle, and we out. Yeah.
Ass nigga.
Hey, episode 26, and we came like this. Hey, feeling good, feeling great for the summer, boy. All love, no hate, we got your number, boy. You ain't heard Grits and Glory, that's a bummer, boy. This beat nice, that's word to the drummer, boy. Feeling good, feeling great for the summer, boy. You ain't heard Grits and Glory, that's a bummer, boy. All love, no hate, we got your number, boy. This beat nice, that's word to the drummer, boy. No beef to be Black Panther. We had to come through, give you the answers. You gotta eat through the truth and just leukemia it out just like some cancer. I meant to radiate, better yet elevate. At the same time we trying to come through and educate. All I wanna do is meditate, think about the topics and how we gon' get it straight. Every movie ain't for different people. We all people, we all equal. Every story tells a different allegory. All about the coming to the glory. Just like you beat the victim and ill the villains, all they come through and straight kill them. If you wanna watch something and you will, and maybe you learn something, maybe it teach you how to build then. But if it don't teach you how to build, it'll teach you how to destroy. It'll teach you about pain, it can teach you about joy. All I'm saying is, don't fall for the market that employs. Watch what you wanna watch, learn what you wanna learn. At the same time, burn what you need to burn. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not really concerned. We just trying to help y'all just learn. I'm saying Black Panther was black. When they see us, they all fall back. When they hear us, they know we black. But they all know we come with facts. Grits and Glory trying to stack and just get all them haters off our back. Yeah, learn the game and it's no time or no director, cause we don't really have to act. Word. We ain't acting. We tough acting like to knacking. I'm a Mackin'. That's some old black exploitation. But I came through with good celebration. Freestyling with no hesitation. Shout out to the family, that's dedication. Hey, dedication. And we out, basic. That was kind of basic. I'm out here gelling like some Asics.